Color grading your footage is a simple way to set the mood and tone of your video. It's something that used to intimidate me, but I eventually realized there's no wrong way of doing it, and it's all up to your artistic choices. Now I'm comfortable enough to share how I color my footage, the techniques I use, and the methods behind them. But before we jump into Premiere, we need to understand the difference between color grading and color correcting. Color correction is exactly what it sounds like, correcting the footage to look as true to life as possible. It's usually the first step of my process because, if I'm being honest, I often miss white balance or tend to shoot over or underexposed. This is where I correct that. I'll also adjust the saturation and contrast on the clips here as well. Then there's color grading. This is where I get to set the visual tone and mood of the video and is often the most fun part. For example, in last week's video, I decided to grade it with some green and yellow tones to help set the mood of shooting in a park on a sunny day. This is often done by adding and tweaking LUTs, which you can kind of think of as advanced Instagram filters. Now let's talk about the method on how I do this. When looking at my editing timeline, I start with my footage here at the bottom. This is actually where I apply my color correction directly on the footage. Then I add an adjustment layer above the footage, and this is where I actually add my color grade. That way I can extend my grade to other clips or cut it and adjust it as needed. Finally, I'll add any graphics or other kind of overlays above the color grade so it doesn't affect the colors of the graphic. It seems simple, but it can get pretty complicated and confusing the more scenes and clips that you have. Now let's jump into Premiere and actually color grade some footage. Alright, we'll start with this drone clip I shot on an early morning in Colorado. It has these treetops with the clouds rolling over them, and it was just a beautiful thing to shoot. As you can see, the footage is pretty flat and doesn't have much color or contrast to it, so let's do our color correction. If you look over here at the scopes, you can see how flat it is because these highs need to be up to this 100 level, and then your shadows and blacks need to be down at this 0. So let's find a spot in the clip where you kind of have both highs and lows there. And we're gonna go and just crank up these highlights and pull down our shadows. You can already see there's a huge difference in the contrast. It's not quite to where we want it to be. First of all, these whites are overblown, and we need to bring our blacks down a little bit more. I'm just basing all this off of my scopes. And the shadows a little bit. Again, this is all kind of up to your artistic vision, so I want this to be pretty contrasty so the clouds stand out a little bit more. So that's a pretty big difference already. I think I'm gonna change the white balance just a little bit, because I did shoot this on the morning, on the sunrise, and it didn't quite look there. Now that our footage is corrected and I'm happy with it, let's go ahead and add our adjustment layer. I'll trim this up, and now we can begin our grade. Let's find another spot here. I think that'll work. So I usually just go into this creative tab and I just browse through my LUT library. These are all LUTs that I have purchased or I've just kind of found online that I liked, and I pretty much just start here and I just roll through to find one that kind of matches the mood that I'm going for, which is typically this one, and I really like this one. Then I'll just change the intensity a little bit, maybe add some faded film or whatever it might be. For this, I think I'm gonna pull this highlight down a little bit into the blue. As you can see, our clouds, if I go back, our clouds are a little orange, so I want to get them closer to white. So we pull in a little bit more blue tint. Then our shadows are a little blue, so I'm gonna bring that back into a reddish orange. Now that our color grade is set, let's compare the result to our original clip. That's makes a huge difference, and that's how I color grade my footage. If you have any color grading tips or want to share how you do it, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you because color grading is the one thing that I'm constantly trying to get better at with my filmmaking. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. I'm Jason Luong, the Video Ninja, and I'll see you next week.